The problem I was thinking about today was what to do if your players have already played some of the campaign or are already aware of some of the campaign that you're planning to run. So in the first episode, you learned how the zero-level funnel worked. Each of the players ended up with one surviving character, and the other three of them had died. And so now what we had was a party of 4 level 1 characters. We had a ranger, a sorcerer, a fighter, and a rogue. So what happened was at the end of the last adventure, the players got onto a boat in an underground cavern that sort of rocketed them out this chute into a channel and away from the village that they had come from. And so now this boat took them to a beach and landed them on a shore somewhere. And on the shore was a very small town where they met Gundren Rockseeker, a dwarf who plays a big role in the beginning of Lost Mine of Phandelver. So I had Gundren come and meet them when they washed up on the beach. He was taking up refuge in this small town, and he introduced himself to them and told them that his companion, Sildar Hallwinter, had been captured, and would they please accompany him on his way to Phandalin on the Triboar Trail. There's a business opportunity he wants to share with us, and would they do that? And so this was my plan for just sort of making this all tie together. Unfortunately, when I mentioned Gundren Rockseeker's name, 2 of the players immediately started laughing and gave each other a sidelong glance. And I, as the DM, I just went, "Oh God!" Like they're talking about me. It's like when the students start talking in class and laughing. If you're the teacher, you're like, "Oh, what's going on? What don't I know?" So they're my friends, and so I just asked them, "Hey guys, is there anything I should know?" And they said, "Well, this adventure, we already know this adventure because this was on the Adventure Zone. The McElroy brothers and the McElroy family did this." I said, "Oh gosh, okay. Well, you know what? I am not aware of that. I am vaguely aware of the Adventure Zone. I didn't listen to it, but nonetheless, if you feel like you can't do this adventure, we can end the session now, and I can replan something else. But if you feel like you can still play it, then let me know and we'll continue on." And so, right away they said, "You know what, on the Adventure Zone, they only did a little bit of Phandelver at the beginning and the end. They didn't do a lot of the middle of it, so we're probably fine." And so at that point, I knew I needed to change things up quite a bit. I always prefer to homebrew a lot of elements into pre-made adventures because the pre-made adventures do a lot of the background work for you. They come up with location names, NPC names. God knows every DM needs that, needs a handy list of that. They come up with a lot of the structures of the campaign, so you can focus on only the fun stuff. You don't need to come up with, ledgers of businesses in a town. God, barf. Please don't make me do that. Maybe some people enjoy it, not me. I enjoy just planning the adventures and the heists and the battles and the political intrigue and stuff like that. I don't really need to be, doing Sim City here. So I knew I was going to already do some homebrew elements in Lost Mine of Phandelver. Now I knew I needed to do a lot more. So the first thing I did after the session was I went and familiarized myself with the Adventure Zone, and I listened to one of their adventures in this world, and I read up on how they did Lost Mine of Phandelver, and then made sure that what I was going to do wasn't that, so that it would be a new and fun experience for the players instead of doing a worse version of the McElroys. So I did that. I went and put a bunch of things together. I made sure that a lot of the side quests had meaning. And I decided that one of the things I wanted to do was to get the rogue character initiated into the Gentarim so that I would have a character who had some moral ambiguities in his character backstory right away. This is something that, we had talked about outside of the game. And so I decided having someone play as the Gentarim and in the Gentarim would be a little more interesting and give the player some contacts and some cachet in the world. One of the things that I like about some of the more famous actual play podcasts is when they have characters who are known in the world, who have people who work for them or people who know them or go to them, so that you're not just a random assortment of murder hobos traveling from town to town, even if that's what the campaign ends up being, you still have connections. You have NPCs that are under them or who are over them. Now, obviously, this is a thing you should always do when planning D&D. You shouldn't just have someone whose whole family was killed and they have no connections to anyone. Even if there is a character who creates a backstory like that, you can work in some connections that maybe that character and that player are not quite aware of into the backstory. So I created some Gentrim contacts in Phandalin, and I arranged for them to recruit this rogue when they came into town. All right, so that's all for this time, and see you next episode.